All right, good afternoon, attendees. We are ready to start our moccasin class. Right here we have the beautiful Cassandra Thompson and the beautiful Louisa Harjo. Sorry, I couldn't even get your name out right. I know who she is, really. My name is Nancy. I'm with the Mvskoke Nation Youth Services program. We're excited to have you all on the class with us today. I'm basically just going to turn this over and let Cassandra and Louisa introduce themselves a little bit more and tell about who they are. And then we will get you started on your classes. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and I will relay those on to Cassandra as she teaches us how to make some mocks. All right.
Este Cassandra Thompson Jaku Jifkados, Idogi Amanlegados, Wige Jabova Mvskoke Jukados, and Bethel Golget Idolados. So my name is Cassandra Thompson. I am Deer Clan. I go to Springfield United Methodist Church, and my tribal town is Fish Pond. And this, like she said, this is Louisa Harjo. She's my daughter, and we are going to go ahead and get started. I hope you have all your supplies out. This is a document that I created. I've been doing moccasin making for over 10 years now, and I learned at the College of the Mvskoke Nation. That's where I first learned how to do it. And over time, I just was really interested in getting better and better at it. And so over time, I started getting asked to do these classes. So when I went to college at Bacone College the past year, one of my majors is art, and they asked us to do a presentation over something we know how to do. I created this document, and now it's a little publication, little booklet, and you should have that. So you can read about the history and stuff at your own time, but the actual instructions start with this page right in the middle, and it just gives you like the place where you can get your supplies and stuff. And if there's any point where you feel like I didn't pick up on that while we're doing this, and you need to go back over it again, there's also a YouTube video that's already out there, but I know that youth services will show this later also. So if there's any point that you want to look at it today and you want to go back over something, there's that YouTube link where I had already done it with the cultural archives. And let me see. So we're just going to start. I hope you have all your stuff out. So if you'll go ahead and show them the tracing. The first thing I want you to do is trace your foot. So that's number one. When tracing your foot, you want to make sure that your stand level, straight up, not like lean back or lean to the side. If you have somebody to help you, that helps too. Louise is going to share a picture of her tracing my foot, and I'm trying to stand as straight as possible.
We got it.
So if you can, I'm going to give you a little bit just to do that, maybe like a minute or so. If you've already done it, I want you to go ahead and put on your Mvskoke jams. And I like to have music. As a part of me, I like to have music as I'm going along and doing stuff, especially if I hear something that soothes me. I start singing along with it. So if you have your Mvskoke jams or whatever kind of jams you want to hear, you can play that along in the background. After you get done with that, you'll want to get your foot and then cut out the tracing that you just did. So you can show that picture too. But here's my foot, and Louisa's gonna share that picture with you guys. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It could just be like, here's all my little toes. You see them on the cutout. It's just rounded out. It's just as close as possible as you can get. You can see that my long toe is bigger. It's longer than my big toe, the toe next to it. That's okay. Moccasins are made to fit specifically for you. A lot of people ask me for orders, but I don't like to do orders because I like to be right there with the person, because everybody's foot is unique to themselves, So you can go ahead and trace both feet if you want, but one will suffice. Like, that'll be enough. what we're gonna do is use it twice. So like we'll flip it. That's what we'll do when we're making the rest of it. So I hope that you're getting that cut out. I'm not going too fast. I know that we have a little bit of time on here, but I want you to really get to the sewing part today. I don't want to waste too much time. The pattern, it takes a long time to do just because, well, it's unique to your foot. So really you're learning pattern making right now. And like in history, probably what all they would do is lay out the leather and then stand on it and then, you know, kind of shape it around to their foot and then do it like that. But I'm kind of mathematical. I love math. So I like to find different ways to make it, you know, look really nice. Plus I like art. I like it to look really nice. So I try to find ways that will be simple for you to understand how to make your moccasin. So I think that should be enough time for you to cut out your foot. And the next thing that we're going to do, I don't know if you were able to get, what we have here is from where we got our supplies, we have this right here. And sometimes I get like a poster board. Like this one is just one, like a scrap one. Sometimes I use that. Right now, what you'll need is like your ruler, your pencil, and your cutout. That's what you'll need right now. So like back in the day, they probably just used their hands to do all the measurements and things like that. But so the reason why I like to do a poster board is because you have this straight edge. See this straight edge right here? It just goes straight across. Then I don't have to worry about the back being like, I don't have to cut out that. That's just one less thing I have to do. So from there, you can get your pinky and make a mark. Try to do it like right in the center so you have plenty of room to draw your pattern. You don't want it to be like way over here or way over here. You want it like kind of in the center. So like I said, you'll get your pinky, put it right there, and you would probably put a line right above your pinky. And I'll show you a picture here in a second, but you can also get, if you want to be real technical, you can use your ruler and just use a 1/4 inch. So this is about 1/4 of an inch. You can do that. And that just gives you enough space between your heel and the seam. So make that mark. She's going to share a picture, and it's going to be, it's going to show where we place our heel. So it's going to be right above where we just made that mark. So you made your little mark, and it's going to be just above that line. It's not going to be on the edge. It's going to be on the 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And you're going to trace it again. Okay? So you've laid it on there, and you're going to trace it. Right now on the picture, you see 2 feet. So what I have done is I took my tracing and I flipped it to the side. And so it looks like I have 2 feet, like I'm standing with my feet next to each other. So I've just traced it twice. So if you, you can go ahead and take that picture down. So I'll show again what I did live. I traced it this way and then I flipped it. And so it looks like I have 2 feet just standing next to each other. And really, that gives you the width of your foot. It gives you an idea of like what the width of your foot is. And it gives a good size for one pattern. So you have 2 feet, but you're going to need one pattern for both feet. So this is just for 1 foot. I know it can get confusing, but it's just for 1 foot. So the next thing that you're going to do, if you have, I don't want to go too fast, but is get a string. So I'll let y'all do that for a second. And I just get caught up. I don't want to go too fast, like I said. But remember, you're going to put your foot, trace it once, flip it, trace it again. And you can leave some space in between there. You don't have to leave a lot, or you can put them right next to each other. Because the next step is really going to give us that width. what we're gonna need in the end. What did I do? You see it? I could probably cut it that way. Let's see if that works. This one. 'Cause I know that's this big. Okay. Here it is. Oh, is it set to me? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of string, and you can use your sinew. I wasn't sure how much they sent you, but the sinew or a string is good enough, and it doesn't have to be that long, but at least maybe like I'd say from your middle finger to maybe midway down. What you're going to do is you're going to measure the widest part of your foot, and usually the widest part of your foot, I mean this way, like when your foot is sitting there and it's this point to this point. So Louisa, she's going to show you a picture of like what I mean. So you're going to wrap it around your foot from the bottom of your foot to the top of your foot, and you're going to cut it to where it meets. So you should have plenty of sinew. It should be plenty enough for the whole project. I mean, you'll probably have enough to do more projects with it. It doesn't take that much. Like I said, you're going to wrap it around that widest part of your foot, get that measurement, and then cut it where the two ends meet. And then so once you've done that, make sure you cut it where it meets. So that will be the length of the widest part of your foot. And then set that to the side. The next thing you're going to do, it's in your book, and it seems weird. You don't know why we're doing it, but it's going to help in the end. So it's number 2. And we kind of skipped around a little bit, but the number 2 is we're going to fold our little foot. So it's like a hot dog. You know how a hot dog bun goes like this? We're going to fold it in half. From there, you're going to fold it in half again. So it should look like that. And what it's going to do when you open it up, it's going to give you this imaginary line. And what that does, usually, so if you're standing like this, usually that's where your foot begins to go like this. You know, your ankle part. So it's almost like where the opening of the moccasin is going to be. So when we look at it right here, you can see that it lines up with where my foot is going to go in. So that's why that's important. We're going to take that cutout again, and we're going to set it on top of the lines that we just made. And you're going to put it right where you put it. From there, you're going to lay your ruler across for that line, that intersection. And Louise is going to show a picture again. And you're just going to lay it there and make a straight line across your ruler that goes out beyond your 2 feet. It doesn't matter how long it is. It's just a measurement. It's just something that will help us later on to know where our heel or where our foot should go in. And it also helps with the flaps. So I'll give you a little bit to do that. And in our book, if you're having to look at the book and you're like, where are we at? We've done step 1, we've done step 2, we've measured from the heel, and we've traced our foot. So we've did step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can open up to the next sign. So look again, you have the ruler across your 2 tracings, and you're going to make that line, and it's going to go out. Okay, so you can take that off. So from there, you'll look at the next page, and we've done step 5 and 6 already. We've measured our widest part of our foot. We've made that line across there. the next thing we're gonna do is that little string that we measured, or the widest part of our foot, we're gonna put it across the top. Let me see. If I can get this. Should I bring that over here?
I would bring your paper that way.
Okay, because I don't think I took it.
Oh yeah, just unplug from the charger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show you this real quick. And I hope you can see it. Oh, I need to
do share screen.
Let me show you it. I hope you can see it. Can you see it?
Share screen first on that side, yeah.
Let me see. Okay, see now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then do.
Actually.
Okay, can you see it now?
It is not the main video.
I think Cassandra is muted. We can't hear anything.
Oh, sorry, my end was muted. Would you do that part again, just so they can hear?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, so what you've seen is that I have laid my string across the widest part of my foot. And originally what I did is I made a line here, made a line here. And so as you can see, it's a fourth again from the sign, a rough edge, but like a fourth. And what I was saying was that when we do our moccasin, that's why they call it a center seam. So when we do our pattern, it's going to meet up to the middle. So you'll see that. And you can, I like to do mine like this where I bring it in, but you can also just round it if you want. And any little extra is just extra, you know, but we don't want to be like way out here because it's going to be really loose on your foot and it's going to look really funny. So it'll be too big. So you want it to be close to your foot. Okay.
Okay.
So we've
got a couple people said they're kind of trying to catch up. So if you want to talk a little bit more about the moccasins, history, those kind of things, while people have a couple of chances. If anybody does have a question, we will take those in the chat.
Okay. So you asked to talk about the moccasin?
Yeah, just give them a little chance to catch up there.
Okay. You want to go ahead and turn that down so I can think a little bit?
Yeah.
When I'm in the groove, I like to listen to music while I'm doing it. Yeah. But like when I'm trying to think about the history and things like that, I like to just be calm and then think about it. But so like I said, the southeastern tribes, we really didn't need moccasins that much. It was more of like, well, anything that we did, it was for necessity or it was something that we needed at that time. So the southeastern tribes, they most likely wore the moccasins during the winter. And what you'll see in the history is that we didn't decorate them a lot, but it wasn't until the Europeans and the settlers came over and we did trade and things like that, that you would start to see like beads and accents on it. So that's why ours is kind of, I want to say plain, but it was more of like, whereas like the Plains Indians, you know, they needed them all the time for rock, things like that. We were in the wetlands, so we were good with only during the winter needing something to cover our feet. And so shoe is still a bega. So if you wanted to learn how to say that, it's still a bega. Another thing is like, you can wear the pucker toe moccasins like this. The men, they often added a legging to go along with it. And I think like if you were to want to do that, you can, and just add a legging and then wrap it up. So you could still make your moccasin like this, and then have a legging that wraps around the top, and then you would get the leather string and then tie it up. I say Louisa's wearing those leggings right now. She's just really wearing high boots. But that's what some of the men, you'll see that in pictures and in history books. Sometimes when they try to draw the Mvskoke people or the Southeastern people, the men, and they're the ones that were actually shown the most, actually, in history books. Like, we know history books aren't all correct, but like the pictures and stuff that they drew of the men, it was of them wearing long moccasins. But also in history and things that they have shown, it's the women who made the clothing. It's the women who tanned the hides, and that's like really hard work. So while the men might have went and hunted the deer and brought that back, it was actually the women who had to tan the hides, and it could take weeks, it could take months, just however long, and to get it to where it's pliable, to where it's flexible, comfortable to wear. So it's the women that did that. So I'm like really proud of that. And one day I hope that I can learn how to tan the hide. I want to learn. That's like a goal of mine, or even if I could just participate in it, I think that would be good. I don't know if I can handle everything, but I would really like to see what it, like in a traditional way, how that was done. So
That's good. How's everybody doing out there?
And is there any questions?
Yeah, do you have questions?
I think I tried to make the directions as simple as possible. I hope that they're easy to follow along. Like I said, I like math, so I like to use a ruler. I like to use straight edges, and I like to use angles and things like that. So, okay. So I think we can go to the next step. And like I said, if there's something you feel like you've missed, you can always go back to that video link that's in the book. And then maybe we can also provide that before we get off of here. So let me see where I was. So we've done the line. The next thing that we're going to do is we made the line straight across. We've done the lines on the side of the feet. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make an arch around our foot. Like I said, it's about a fourth. So you can use your pinky and then just like go around to get a fourth. What I say that it looks like is a basketball hoop. So you can kind of see this one that someone made, and they made like a line that went around the top. That's probably a little bit too much, but that's just an example. So if you pull up my picture again, you'll see that it's just a rounded top around your foot. Okay, so it's not going to be a big wide. It's not going to be far from your foot. Like I said, it's going to fit your foot specifically. So that is step 7 and 8. It's where we're at. So I'm gonna give you a little bit with that. Sometimes I just did like little dots, and then I just like connect the dots too. So that's an easy way to do it. You put your pinky around the side and just kind of measure it away from that. But like I said, it's just a fourth away from the pattern that you've already made. Okay, I think that should be enough time to do that. So on this next part, I like to get a index card or some kind of paper, and you can just fold it like this to make a flap. And you'll see on step 9, what you do is you just lay it on that line where you put that ruler. And what that's going to do is, there it is. Okay. So you can share that one, I forget. Okay, so Louisa's sharing it, and you can put the index card where the edge of the point of your hoop is, and where your ruler meets, where that line that you made with your ruler meets. And what that is, it's going to add the flap. And you can make it that flap at any angle that you want. It doesn't have to be at that angle. You can even just make a little thing that goes out, a little triangle. And usually the flap is 2 inches to 3 inches, depending on how big your foot is. Because like somebody who's probably like a men's 11 might need a 3-inch compared to like a woman who's like me. I wear a size 8. I need like a 2-inch. But it's just whatever you want. If it's too long, we can always cut that off. So it's better to have it longer than shorter. Another thing is you don't even have to make that flap if you don't want to right now. You can make it squared off. If you can look in my picture, you'll see that I made just like it go. I didn't use the angle. I just made a square, just maybe like, I think it's like 1.5 inches above that line from the ruler, because I'm going to cut it later to my line key. So if you go ahead and take that off, let's see if the next, go ahead and share again. And I wanted to see if I have another picture of where. No, that's it. Okay. Never mind on that. So anyways, I'll show you my outline right now. What I've done is, mine have the straight flaps, but like I said, you have this flap. So wherever your point goes, you'll just use the ruler and go straight down. And you'll do it on both sides. So anything you did on this side, you're going to do on the other side. I don't know why I think it looks like a spaceship. I don't know why. It just automatically comes to my mind. Anyways, your pattern is going to look like this. You're going to have, it's going to go up, your flap, around, your flap, and down. And you, yeah. And Louise is going to get a close-up of it so you can kind of see the work that you've done.
Turn it around, the view of the camera. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I want to, like, before we move on right now, I want to make sure that everybody has theirs that looks like that. If you have any questions, if it's confusing or anything like that, please let us know. I don't want to go any further until we know that everyone has this. If it looks like this, what you can do is go ahead and cut it out around the edge of your outside line. So you'd only cut the straight line, your flap, around the hoop, the flap, and down. So we'll go ahead and start cutting ours. If you have any questions during this time, ask them, because I don't want to go too far before you can use it. So both me and Louisa, you'll see us cutting. And like I said, I feel like the pattern part is the difficult part for me. Okay. So your pattern should look somewhat like this, like how Louisa, she was going to cut the flap and it should be at a point. So it should look like that on both sides. Mine I made square because I want to cut it later. So that's up to you, however you want to do it, however you want it to look. It doesn't matter. I think like when you make your first pair, you'll be so proud of it, and you'll just love them. And then when you start, you're like, oh, I need a new pair. It'll look different each time because you'll get better at it. And you'll find, you might see someone else and you're like, oh, I want mine to look like that way. And you can still go back to this video or the link and look at how can you make that better. So especially if you are not a seamstress, you're not someone who sews. I wasn't that person. I feel like Louisa's looks way better than mine because she sews a lot. So if you are somebody who sews, but if you can't sew, I mean, I learned how to do it. So I think that it just takes practice. So like you could even just take your leather and practice different stitches, and that will help you see like, oh, I think I want my moccasin to look like that. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to get your sinew out again and your scissors. And what we're going to do is 2 arms length. So 2 arms length is, to me, is just you hold it out like this. It's like from one hand to another. And really, this will be enough for both of your moccasins. So like even one, so from there, I just fold it in half and cut it again, cut it in half. And so I've done that. And so this is 1 arm's length from the center of my chest to this side. That's 1 arm's length. And I've just put it through my needle and tied a knot so we have a double string right here. So like I said, this is 1 arm's length right here from the center of my chest to this side. So you've done 2 arms length, cut it in half, and you'll get your 1 arm's length. The good thing about sinew and what I like about it is it's waxy. And so the reason why that is because so it won't tear your leather. So that's why you don't want to use just like regular thread, because over time it won't, it'll like almost cut your leather rather than like help keep it together. So like it's almost like a moist or like kind of thread. And so another good thing about the sinew, when you get ready, go ahead and put it in your needle if you can. If you need help putting it in your needle, one thing that I do is, if you want to hold that up and zoom in. So what I do is you can get your thread. Is it turned around right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can use your finger and like just make it flat and then cut it at a point. See how it has a point now? And so when you try to put it in that needle eye, this is called a needle eye. When you poke it in the eye, it'll be easier to thread it through. So some people are like, I can't get it in there because it has a lot of little strings. So if you do that and it's waxy, you can keep it together and kind of like bind it and then just put it through that center. And like I said, go ahead and leave it on me. We're going to have a double string. So this is a single string. Like if we wanted to just sew like that, that's a single string. But we want a double string. So we're going to bring this one down here together like that. And then we're going to make a knot. So do you know how to tie a balloon? When you tie a balloon, when you blew up a balloon and you tie it around your finger, that's how you're going to make your knot. So you get your 2 edges like a balloon, put it through that center, and you'll have your knot. So I hope everybody can do that. Some kids, like, I know that that's one of the things we kind of struggle on. So I try to teach knots. So again, I'm just going to show you again. You're going to wrap it around 2 fingers, put it through the hole. And then like 2, when you want to guide your knot to land on the same knot again, I put my finger behind it and then it kind of lands right on it. So then you get 2 knots, see? Okay. So that's a double thread. The next thing that we're going to do is we are going to Oh, no, go ahead. You can leave it on.
Just
'cause
the
I'm-
sound.
Oh, the sound.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that our pattern fits on our foot, in which we know it does, but we're just going to double check. So what you're going to do is, so fold your pattern in half like this. And we're going to continue to check all the way through. We're going to check, double check every time. So you're going to fold it. See how it looks like a little booty? It's so cute. So anyways, you're gonna step on it. You're gonna put your foot in it inside, and you're gonna bring it up around your foot. So do we want to zoom in on that so we can see what we're doing? Let me take off my shoe. Hold on. Can you see down here in the light? Okay, or in the darkness. So I'm gonna step in the center of it, and I'm just gonna pull it up and make sure that these two, see the seam is gonna fit. And they're going to be close together. See it? Isn't that so cute? Okay, and then if you have any, like if it gets too wide, if it's too, like it overlaps over your foot, that is fine too, but you want it to be close where they like are close to each other. And the reason I'm going to show you again, go ahead and turn that back on, is because your foot, I'm going to show you some different moccasins. So this one is one with like a lot, like it may have overlapped a little bit. So you're able to scrunch it up, and it has a little bit of seam allowance, I should say. This one has less. And then this one, you'll see is they are right next to each other. So it's like the leather is right next to each other. So when it folded, it was right like this. And then they just took their thread and their sinew and went through it. Okay. So that's the difference. So if it overlaps a whole bunch, you don't want that. You want it as close to your foot as possible. Okay. So I want to give some people time if they need to adjust it. Don't cut off too much though, because then they ain't gonna fit. And then so you do, for now, I think it would be good if you just have a little bit where it overlaps because it's your first time. And I think that is best. So for the next steps, what you're gonna do is you get to get your leather out. This is my most favorite part. It's you can put that on. You can put those on there.
Sam, I think somebody said we couldn't see when you wrapped the, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Sam. Sam said we couldn't see when you wrapped the paper
Okay.
around your foot, so we'll do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do though is where's my cutout? Yeah. I'll show you with my foot cut out so it's a little bit brighter up here. So here's my cutout of my foot. Hold on, let me flip it this way. Here's my cutout of my foot. And so when I wrapped it around like this, and so say my foot was inside it, it should be like that or like that.
It says it's not share screen for some reason. I can see it, but
I'll hold it up too.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can hold it up. So say if you're
come in.
so you have your pattern and you put your foot in the middle, you're standing in the middle of it right now, and you're gonna wrap it around your foot like this. And say your foot was inside it like that. So see, like if your foot is inside it, it should overlap just a little bit. And it's okay if it's like that. But if it's way overlapped, you don't want it that way. You want it just close together. I think that's a good overlap. So say your foot's inside here right now. You want to make sure that there's still that allowance for the top of your foot and right here. Okay.
Right. Look, I think we got a better view of that. I think the screen got highlighted. So just, I want to make sure before we move on, did everybody have a chance to see that pretty well?
Okay. And I hope everybody's is coming out good. I don't want y'all to not have enough leather from this point, because if you made it too short, they're not going to fit. So I want to make sure that you have enough that it's going to wrap around your foot. So too much is too much, but too little is not enough. So just as long as it overlaps just a little bit, there's that space right here to go around your foot this way, and there's enough, like maybe a 1/4 inch from the back to go up the back of your heel. So what we're going to get to do next, like I said, is to me the most exciting point. So the first thing you want to do is smell your, no, I'm just kidding. Smell your, I love the smell of leather. I just love it. So you don't have to do that really, but so what we're going to do is we're going to bring out our leather, and I have to clear out everything because, and like I like to do it on the floor. So if y'all want to get ready, do it on the floor. I'm on a table, but you can do it on the floor. You can do it on a table too. But usually, like when I'm doing all this stuff, I like to be lounging. It's just really comfortable. So you'll put your leather out, and we're gonna check it for holes and things like that. So see this one, it has a hole. And sometimes they have holes like right in the center, and that sucks because I don't like that it has that, because you have to figure out how you're going to put your moccasin on here. And because it's from the factory, they have numbers on them too. So what you don't want is that to be on the outside of your moccasin. So you'll either want it on the inside of your moccasin or on the bottom where your heel would be. So kind of check out your leather, see where those things are right now. And usually, like back in the day, I'm sure that this is something so like this would be the head, this would be the tail. And like when you do sewing, you would want to do things at the grain. We'll go with the grain because they last longer. At this point, I'm good with however you want to do it, however best your pattern fits on there. I like to try to save as much as possible too. So again, you know how when we made the first foot and then we flipped it, that's what we're going to do. So we need two shoes. We need two moccasins. We don't need one. So we're going to be using this pattern twice. So wherever you trace your moccasin on, you need to know that you need two out of this one material. You need two of them, not just one. And the other thing is right now, you want to decide what side you want your inside of your moccasin and what side you want as your outside of your moccasin. So me, personally, I usually like the outside. This is my outside, and it's the real soft part. But a lot of people like the inside, this part as your outside. And I'm good with either, but I usually do this one. Like, I don't know if you know, Louisa was the Junior Miss Mvskoke Nation in 2018, and she liked hers also that way, I guess, because it kind of looks like if you're going to wear it for fashionably or things like that, it looks nice. But I think the other side looks nice. I've seen people wear it that way because you see that it's like real leather and it doesn't look fake and things like that. So it's just your preference, whatever you want. And I'm gonna go against because so this is my one where I did that as the outside. So that's what it looks like, and then this is my inside. I don't have one yet where I use that as my outside. I don't know why. I like I said, I just usually prefer that. So right now, just make your decision what you're gonna do. Once you've decided that, what you'll do is on here, yeah. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trace our pattern. And Louisa should be sharing the screen as it should be in share.
It should be. Can you all see that?
So what I've decided is I'm going to try to save some of this, and I'm going to do it here. I'm going to trace this right here. And then what I'll do is I'll flip it and I'll trace it again. And so see what I did is when I trace it, this is my line. And then I'm just gonna flip it and I'm just stay on that line and then just trace that side. So that's a smart little tip because then you're saving some of your material, and then maybe you want to try it again later, or you want to. I'm going to try to, if we have enough time, I'm going to try to show you some other things you can do with the leather. So, anyways, we're going to do that right now. So go ahead and trace your pattern right now, and if you need to, like what I do is I will put my ruler on there, or I'll put the sinew, or I'll put, give me those scissors. And just to hold it down, help me hold it down. It's like my little assistant. And then sometimes I just do this too. Like I'll just get make sure that I'm following along. I don't know. I guess it's my OCD. Wanting it to be like all pretty and perfect, but you don't have to. You just follow along. And it's okay, like for the pin marks to be on your inside or outside, because we can trim those. Okay. Did they get leather scissors? They get regular scissors.
Some got leather and some got regular.
Okay. So whenever you'll realize the difference if you got the leather scissors and but both are fine. They're fine to use. But what I like about the leather scissors, there's a reason why they're leather scissors. It's so satisfying. That's what I to cut with them, cut leather with them, compared to using the other scissors. So remember, mine doesn't have flaps. So yours will have flaps. So I'm just following along, tracing my pattern. Staying close. And everybody's a little different. Not everybody's gonna look the same. Okay. So I'll trace mine. I hope you traced your first one. See, don't the music just make it better? So like, I'm just gonna flip mine, and I'm gonna tell you right off, like some people are like, well, I can't do that. I have a hole right here. But over here, there might be, so like, and even still, if you want to use that same line, you could just scoot it over this way. Or, however you want it to make, but mine is like perfect. So everything's, make sure that there's enough there. Be okay. Okay. So I just flip mine over and I'm going to trace it again. Use my assistants. We'll just trace again. Woo. This is the funnest part. So like, I think when you get your leather out and you know that it's almost time to make your first moccasin. So show you real quick what mine looks like. So that's the way I save material. And what you'll do now, I'm so excited for you guys. Y'all made those patterns and you're about to cut it. You don't know how exciting this is. And after this, it really won't take much longer once we get the holes in there. And then the sewing is fast if you kind of understand it. But if you need help, we'll help you, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut out our pattern. Use your scissors. And you can just cut out one now if you want, because we're just going to work with one. I have an assistant, so It makes it go a little bit faster. But and don't get in a hurry. You know, like just you'll want it to look nice. So you can from now you can go like inside the line, just a little tiny bit, or you can go along the line. It doesn't matter, okay? And if you're cutting with the leather, isn't it so nice? The leather scissors. When we first started doing these classes, we did the regular scissors, and it was okay. But when we started doing more classes and I went to the place where we get the supplies, they were like, we have leather scissors. You want some of those? And I was like, I'll take one because, you know, they're kind of expensive. They're a lot more than regular scissors. And I was like, I'll take them and I'll try them. You know, I'll try one. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with these leather scissors. So hopefully you cut out at least your first one. And I'm gonna, if you just went ahead and cut out both of them, and like this, what I do is I just cut down that line now. So, and I've already cut my two. And the regular scissors do just fine, but it's just like, I don't know, it's different. Louisa, she sews, so she's like, don't mess with my material scissors. That's what my mom tells me too. And growing up, and I got yelled at all the time because I messed with them. But now I find it like 30 years later, I finally realized that don't cut with my leather scissors. So again, we'll do it again. We'll measure. You stick your foot in it. Make sure that it overlaps. And it's easier with this because it folds easier. But like I said, you'll make sure that you have some room to fold it over. It's okay if it's like this, but if it's like that, no, okay? And right here, so I want this as my outside. So everything that I'm gonna do as far as like markings and stuff from now, like if I want to make dots, I want to make sure I do it on my inside, okay? If I'm making dots, I'm going to do it on the inside, not the outside, because those will show, okay? Especially if you don't do a tight seam, you're going to see all your dots and you can't really erase that. So from here, we're just going to work on one moccasin and we're going to see how far we can get, okay? So we're going to fold it in half. And like I said, mine looks different because I didn't do the flap, the flap like I usually do, like this. Because really when you're making moccasins, you're the designer. You know, it's like everybody's is going to look different. They're not all going to look the same. So like I said, this is my inside. I got it folded inside out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make dots. And usually you can make them as far apart as you want, but not too far apart. So I would say for the first time, you might want to do it, I'd say like a quarter inch, not a fourth of an inch, maybe even closer than that. So I'll show you. I usually do about, I think like 20 dots. And I don't go past here. So on the cuff, we're going to start calling this the cuff or the flap. We're not going to ever make any lines above this, okay? Okay, sorry. So we're not making any lines, dots on the flaps, okay? So I'm going to show you right now. And it's going to be close to the seam too, right here. So you want like your dots to be like that, kind of close together. See how close together that is? And you'll just keep making your little dots and you'll keep going all the way around. Don't try to hurry. Don't try to rush. Make it look nice. And see, mine is probably more than 20, but even if you, if you did 20, you can probably just make some dots in between those. But it's gonna go, I'd probably wait, I'd say like, go ahead and use that 1/4 inch, go all the way up to there right now. Because if you wanna go further up, you always can. So it won't be hard. But at least we got this first part done. Okay. And so this next part, I know it's gonna be hard for some of you. And I'm gonna just leave it on there. We're gonna do our awl. I don't know if that's how some of the awls look.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard, and I want you to be careful, be safe, take precautions, and protect what is underneath your moccasin. So we have a little a board that we can put underneath. Something that you don't mind damaging would be good. So we have a board that we're gonna put underneath ours. Whenever we're doing this, we want to make sure that our moccasin, see when it's folded, it's not like folded like this, because then we're missing the point. Okay, we want it together, as close together as possible, and to where they're kind of like, if anything, like lined up like that, where you have a little bit over. And so I'm able to have this underneath here, and you're going to take your awl and you're going to just poke it into your dot and make sure that it goes through both. And you can just drive it in there like that, twist it. And I'll show you right now. You have it on this part.
There you go.
So I've went through both. See how it went through both sides? And you want to try to keep that together. So use a helper again, like put something on it so where it won't move around a lot, you know, because once you start making the holes, you don't want this side to have all kinds of holes. You want it to line up with each hole. Okay. So we'll just continue to do that. Push it in, twist it, be careful, be safe. I'm just going to keep on. And it's okay if the holes are big. You want them big because we're going to have to put that sinew through it. And you just might check every once in a while and make sure that it's going through both sides. Okay? Like maybe every 3 or 4, check and make sure that it's going through both sides and you're getting it. Don't get in a hurry on this part either. Because after this, it's going to go fast. So like in the past, probably what awls were probably like bone that they chiseled down to sharp points. So the deer, it was like a staple for us. It was our food. It was our protein. But, you know, it also clothed us. And we used everything. So originally sinew is actually the, you know, the tissue, the strings inside of our tissue that they would use, and they knew how to use that, and they used it for thread. The thread, they could use rock to chisel down to points, because you know they didn't have a store like how we can go to Walmart and things like that. So now we have to figure out ways to make these, you know, cultural traditions in a modern way. But think of how hard it was for them to like tan the hide, and it takes so much. Like you're gonna be proud of these no matter what, but they did it for survival and essentials. So when you're making these, you want to kind of like take that into mind that you're doing something that your ancestors did, and that's why you should be so proud of it. And in the end, you know, on my book, I said that it's an act of sovereignty. You know, that's something that our sovereign nations. That's why. It's like our language, our culture, and our traditions. Those are things that make us who we are. So I'm really glad. I like to teach these classes because I want to teach young people that they should be proud of who they are, and they should, not be afraid to learn these things. Because who else is going to do it? Who else is going to be that person? And if you ever need them for something, or you like, if something ever happened, you know how to make yourself some shoes. And originally, moccasins, that's where they got the penny loafer from. That's how they designed the little leather shoe is from the moccasins. So they even try to do that now. They sell those moccasins and booties, and they got that from the native peoples. Because their shoes were way different, than ours before. I think they wore more boots and things like that, and hard sole things. And when they came here, they seen how we use what we had. So you'll just continue to make those holes. So one thing you might see is, what is this thing laying on top of here? It's another tool that the supply people have given me that makes my process a little faster. It's a hole, like a hole puncher. So I could get this and put it over both of mine, and then just make the holes. And I love it so much. These are my favorite tools. So see, that was a lot faster than all, but again, those cost money. So you just, like I said, see where I kind of went off a little bit. You want to make sure that whenever you're doing your holes, that you're kind of staying on track with the other holes. And I hope everybody was able to follow along that and was able to get theirs done. If you could let Nancy know that you're not done yet, I won't go any further. And I'll just continue to talk a little bit about the history and stuff. You can just let her know, say yes, no, yes, no. And like I said, we will get ready to do the pucker part. The pucker part is actually where it's like just scrunched up right here on the center, on the tip of the toe. So you'll see in some of the southeastern tribes that everybody does theirs a little bit different. The Cherokee do theirs a little bit different. The Choctaw, the Chickasaw, and us. I've seen people do different things. And if you can look at the back, you'll kind of see that people do things differently. Some of them used to add a vamp. And so what a vamp is it's just like a cover on top. And I think more people use that as a design right now. So I hope everyone is.
I think they're still kind of working on it.
Okay.
I know, Cassandra, we talk about in some of our other cultural arts classes how this is really a form of self-care. Is that true for you also?
Oh, definitely. I think any kind of art is, because it's almost like an expression of yourself. I say art expression. So no art is incorrect. No art is wrong. It's you expressing your feelings or how you want to see something. And sometimes it might not come out as how you want it to come out, but that's life in general. So art kind of helps you get to that point of like expressing something at that moment or that time that makes you get it out, like get out anger, get out frustration. And sometimes it takes you to another place, to where I used to play softball a lot. And then when I was on the mound, nothing else mattered, like the outside world, anything that was going on, I could go up there and pitch. And that was therapy for me. And I found that through art too, because I grew up wanting to do art. And so now that I also do art besides this kind of stuff. So whenever I am able to do that, it's almost like meditation, I guess I could say, for me, because I know that one, I'm doing something that's culturally specific to me and culturally that connects me to my past. And then another thing is that I'm getting to design something for me that I'm going to wear, that I'm going to get to show off. And then also, like, when we get to the sewing part, that is, and once you get to start knowing how to sew, how to do different kinds of sewing, you're like, oh, I want it to look this way. And that's also therapy and meditation within itself. So the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and put the thing on me again on the little booty. And so we've made our holes. So this is the top of our toe. And I go up, I'd say about 4 or 5, and I make a line that goes across like that. And I may even want to go a little bit, go to the 5th one. It just depends on how close your dots are together. And what that's going to create, I'll show this real quick, is your pucker right here. It's going to create this little thing that goes around and brings it around your toe. Okay. So these don't.
It says it's not sharing. It's showing on my side. Do it again. Can you spotlight that video, Jasmine? Okay, they said it's showing now. Good deal.
Okay. So what I did is, like, depending on how close your dots are, I made a little line that went like that. And again, it shows that little, what that's going to do is when you make your moccasin, it's going to make this roundness that goes around your toe and the pucker. So this one right here, it doesn't do that because I did a running stitch all the way up. So that's the difference. You can do a running stitch all the way up. That's still a center seam moccasin, or you could do it with a pucker. Okay. So either way, nothing's wrong. It's just however you want it to look. And we're gonna go over some different stitches real quick, so you know the difference between, like, how you want it to look. Okay. So on your book, if we go ahead and keep it on that, you can go to your book and you can see the different kinds on the part 19. So on one moccasin, this is on one moccasin, you'll see that at this middle, that's where they did a running stitch through the top, and then they did a baseball stitch where they went back and forth. You know how you lace your shoes when you put your shoes in between the 2 holes when you're lacing them up? That's how they did their thread. They went back and forth between the 2. And then they ended up doing like a whip stitch. And so what a whip stitch is, just like you're just going around and around to bring your 2 materials together. So I hope if you were able to look at different ways to do that, we can go over it really quick to show what a running stitch and a whip stitch is. So go ahead and take it off there, and I will cut a little piece so you can see. And I'll have Louisa do this part because she's better at sewing than me. And that's why it's able for me to go faster with this hole punch than I can show you. So if you've if you need to do anything right now as far as your thread, you can do that now. So really quick, we'll do the running stitch and just go in and out, and I'll get it on her. Just go through like 2 of them. And then let me see, I do, and then I do this, right? Oops, wrong one. Sorry. So the running stitch. So you'll put it in one side and go through the other. Pull it through, all the way through. and then you'll go to the other side and put it through. And you'll just continue to do that. Go through one more. That is a running stitch, okay? So show them, no, just pull it out just a little bit. Okay, right there. So see, you went through, you started here, you went to your back, you went into the next one, and then the next one, okay? So then the next thing, go ahead and pull that through. No, pull it through. The next thing we're going to show you is a whip stitch. So the whip stitch is, so the next hole should, instead of her doing a running stitch and going through that one, she's going to whip it around over the side and go through the other side. That's a whip stitch. Okay. So right now you're just watching. You don't have to do any of this. It's just a watch. We're just demonstrating what a whip stitch is. And then if you want to do it again, one more whip stitch. She didn't go back through that side. She went, whipped it around, and it went like that. Okay. Okay. We might need another hole for this base. You know how to do a baseball stitch? Okay, I'll do a baseball stitch. Okay. So she's going to hold that for me, and I'll show you the baseball stitch. So here's your moccasin, right? I think I need another hole. So here's your moccasin, and say that these are lined up together. And here's my string. I'm going to go inside like this, bring it through, and it's almost like you're going to go through each hole. That's a baseball stitch, okay? And we're just going to bring it through like that, and then they'll just kind of like overlap. And in all of our stitches, what we're eventually going to do is we're going to scrunch them down and see how it just starts to take on like different designs once you scrunch it down. They all look different, okay? So it's just whatever stitch you feel comfortable with. The running stitch is the easiest. Show them this one. The running stitch is the easiest. And you can do that through the whole moccasin, okay? But this pecker, if you want it to pecker, just go ahead and follow along from here on out, okay? So the pecker, we got our lines, and I'm gonna make, okay. So we made our lines, and I'm just gonna put that on both sides so I know where the line is. Okay, so there's those right here. And we're going to start, this is my inside, okay? We're going to start from the inside. This is my, oh wait, this is my inside. This is my inside. Whatever inside you are, you have it open like this. You're going to start from this first line that you made. And you're going to do a running stitch through each one leading up to that point. Sometimes I add a hole in between this one because that's where I folded it. You don't have to, but I'm going to, okay? You don't have to. And the reason I like my hole so close together is because I like it to look like it's really sewn tight, but it looks nice however you want. So I put it through that first line, and we're going to do a running stitch. And like I said, the running stitch is just like this. You're just going to go through each hole. So and see how it's just like, to me, I like call it like a snake too. It's like just going in and out. And if in any time you're like, my needle won't go through there, you can just use your awl like this and stick it through that one hole and twist it a little bit, and it will make it wider. Because I think that's the hardest part when you're making the holes. Sometimes you don't get them wide enough for the needle to go through, or it's that other side of the. And then, so see, I'm at my last line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go past that one line to do one more running stitch. And the reason why is because I'm going to get ready to bring it together. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do, okay? So I hope everybody has gotten to running stitch to the top part of your moccasin. That's where your front of your toes, top of your toes is going to go through. And what you're going to do is you're going to scrunch it. See, isn't it so cute? So see how that looks, and what you're going to pull it together like that. And eventually when you sew these other parts together, it's going to fold over that. So you're not going to see all this part like that. Okay. So from here, like I said, you can use the running stitch all the way back up as you put it together, or you can do a baseball stitch, or however you want to do it. So I brought it through this one, and I'm going to go over here and go through that one that was on the other side of the line. All right. Okay. So see, I brought it together like that. And from here, I can decide to do the baseball stitch, the running stitch. So for this part, I'll go ahead and do the running stitch, but I'm going to go inside out, okay? Oh. And that hurts if you do that. So you won't scrunch it down, and you'll just keep these together like that, and you'll just continue to go in and out, in and out. Yeah. So Louisa's going to do that. Let me make these holes a little bit bigger though, because they are, like I said, you can go through and make your holes a little bit bigger so that it's easier. And really, that's the best thing to do because it makes it a lot faster. If you just want to get your own and go through all of them. Okay, go ahead. Louise is going to sew for me because I like her sewing better than I like mine. So see, she's just going in and out all the way up. You have to widen that other one. I think it's this one, a little wide. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even still, like if you see that, like, oh, I want to try a different stitch, it's fine. You can just take it apart, and then you have plenty of sinew to try it again a different way. But for now, we're going to do this running stitch just because it's easy and you get the idea of how your moccasin is made. And the way that it should fit on you, but you have everything that you need to design it the way that you want it to look. So if you want it to look a certain way, you can do that. And see how fast she's going? It's just going in and out through the 2 holes. And really, you're almost done with your first moccasin. Because what we're going to do is when we get to this back part, we're going to just use that same running stitch. I like to do the whip stitch actually on the back, but you can do the same stitch in the back. Or how are we on time?
Right about 2:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it almost 2:30? Like that's when it's in.
3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. So even like when we get to this, say we're all just now getting our first, and it's 3 o'clock, you have everything you need to make your second moccasin. So the pattern part is the longest part because it's unique to your foot, and I don't like to just send out one pattern because it might not fit everyone. And the best thing about it is you know how to do it now on your own. I always say education earned can never be taken away, so now you know it. So you'll see how she's continued to just go in and out. See how it looks? It just looks like those little stitches where it's just running in and out of the foot. And so what she's going to do now is we're going to turn it outside in. And she's going to pull it down, and you might start down here, and then go to the top. And just keep pulling it down the string. See how it's kind of like making a little, yeah, see how it's making a little Z as she's pulling it down the string. Let me get back a little bit. But just lay it out real quick and just show what it looks like. So here's the top, and see how this is poking out. You want to try to tuck that in, and as she's pulling it down, she'll pull it closer over that. So try to pull that part down over your little pucker part so that it'll show. And another thing you can do is also just sew it underneath so it doesn't show if it ends up showing more than you like. Most likely though, it's going to tuck under your stitches that you're pulling over. So see, and it just might need to be pulled a little bit tighter in this area. You might turn it outside in so you can do that to make sure that it's. So see how she scrunched it down on the, yeah, there you go. And that should tuck it in. Do it down. Pull it down some. Down the, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So see, all she's doing is pulling the string, pull that string back, and then she's pulling this down, pulling your, yeah, there you go. And so turn it back outside in. And you'll see. And we can loosen that a little bit whenever we try it on again. So we're going to step over here to the light a little bit better. And you're going to try it on my foot. So once you get to that point, don't cut your thread or anything yet. Isn't that cute? So you can really push your foot down to the edge. You can make sure that little pucker, however you want it to lay. And see how close it is to the foot? Like it fits just right. And to me, I prefer, so here's my ankle part. I want it to go up just a little bit higher. And see, here's my little flaps. I can cut those back a little bit and just go up just a little bit higher. I want it to go. And all I'll do is I'll take it off and I'll line it up and poke some holes again. So this is why you keep trying it on, because you want it to fit exactly how you want it to fit, okay? So see how that looks? It looks really good. Good job, Louisa. So I'm taking it off, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do real quick. I'm gonna turn it, because I want some more, I want it to go up a little bit higher. If you want it right there, just go ahead and stay right there for a second. So I want it to just go up a little bit higher. And I really like how close the stitches were together. And I'm gonna just kind of like cut it to here because I want some of that flap cut off. And then this is just me personally. You don't have to do this part, okay? If you like how your flaps are laying on your moccasin, I would just stay right there and get a wire. I'm gonna make me some holes to go up a little bit further, and then Louisa's gonna finish that off for me, okay? Because I love her so. I like mine too, but I don't know, something different. So I'm gonna watch her go up the top. So again, I just put 4 holes in because I know that that's probably, and I'm not gonna scrunch these as much because I just want them together, and that's how far I want it to go up, because like really, if I ever, my foot gets bad, I can kind of stretch it out a little. So like, see how this is close together, but this one, it's just kind of like, they're not scrunched. It's just kind of like sits there where they're just, it just shows that they're not, let me turn it outside in. Okay, so she's, are you at the end? Okay. So see right here, it's not scrunched down like how the other part's on, okay? So she's going through the last folds. And if you want to try it on one more time before, if you added any holes or anything like that, you can at this point. Okay, so we're through the last hole. So if everybody's at their last hole, this is what you're going to do. You're going to whip stitch. You're going to go around, go ahead and pull all the way through. You're going to whip stitch, but you're going to go through that same hole that you just went through. And what that does is it kind of like adds a binding, so it's just not hanging your, so I'll show you real quick like how this looks right here. See how it's kind of like tied together, and it's not just, because once you start wearing them, they'll start pulling out. And let me see if these other ones, this one kind of does it. See how it's kind of gets ripped, and there's nothing holding them together. They're just going in and out, in and out. So if you have that little thing, it's kind of almost like a little tie, a little knot. And from there, we're going to make our knot. So like the balloon. And then one thing I do is, see, she's holding her finger like close to the thing. I usually hold my finger on top, so that way that knot ends up right there against the leather. See how it's guiding it? And you just like guide it to the leather. That way the knot is really close to the leather. And see how she's pushing it down? And then I usually like to make at least 2 or 3 knots, because it just helps so that it doesn't come unravel. And even too, like another thing that I like to do is, that should be good, is just go ahead and leave some of the string on, so that way, if I I needed more room, I can undo it, and then it will be okay. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn it outside in again, and we're going to try it on again. And the reason for doing this is that we want to see now if we need to cut off any of the back part of the moccasin, so that way, and really put it in there because you want it snug. You don't want it like loose at all. It should fit like a bootie. So I want to show you how. So when I put it on, see how close this back is together? They're like gonna meet right up with each other. I don't have a lot of space back there, but that's fine. Okay, so we don't want it apart like this. We want them like close together. See where it overlaps just a little bit. Okay, so mine is good. I like how it's coming out. I like everything about it. If you like everything about yours, you can stop right there, and we'll go on to the next part. So if you need to cut some off at this point, you can, but don't cut too much off. Like I said, too much is too much. Too little is not enough. So like really you want at least about that much up your back of your moccasin. And so from here, I'm going to make dots again. But remember, we are not going to go above this right here. These are our cuffs. We don't want markings on them. And we're just going to make our dots. And another thing is, like, if you want to put it at a curve, you want to cut part of that off, you can. Don't do too much. But I'm just going to go ahead and lay mine straight. And at this point, for fastness, you can go through and just do your running stitch. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make our dots. And I'm just going to go to about there. I don't want to go too far up because I want to be able to, like, if I need more dots, I'll do it. If not, I'll just leave it like that. So from here, you're just going to do the exact same thing that you did on the other one. You're going to use your awl and you're going to poke your holes. Okay? So you're at that point. Go ahead and do that. And I'm using my hole punch because I like my hole punch. And again, make sure that you're going through both pieces of leather. You are not moving the leather around a lot to where it's making a whole bunch of different holes on the other side. And just let Nancy know that you're at the same part as me and you're not still sewing the top part. And we can sew down if there's quite a few of you. But if all of you are on this part, we're good. Because from here, you got your moccasin. And you will, from there, you'll just repeat the process. And if there was anything that you cut off on the front top of that one, the first one, you want to try to make it as close to the pattern as possible for the next one. But you can do the same tips that I showed you. Just keep trying it on, keep measuring it. And on mine, so from here, you can just do that running stitch all the way up and scrunch it down. But mine, I want to do the whip stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn mine outside in, or yeah, outside in. And I want to do the whip stitch this time. Or Louise is going to do the whip stitch at this time. And here, I'll do that. So I know I did it a lot faster because you can take it off of that if you want for now. And I'll talk while everybody's doing that because I know that it's going to take them a little bit longer with the awls. So whenever you're doing this, you know, you just want to take your time, make sure that you're doing right, keep double checking, making sure that it's how you want it to fit. And you have plenty of room to put your foot in. Because you know how, I mean, to me, it almost fits like a sock or a bootie that you would buy to wear around the house. That's the way it should fit. It should fit snug. You don't want it, if you're walking in it, to it be too loose. Another thing, some things that I found over time is like people have, if you think you, sorry about that. So if you think that you're gonna wear them a lot, like I know some people who have made them and they're like, I'm wearing these every day, and they wear them around the house. So like one thing is like you could put duct tape on the bottom of the soles so that they don't get like too worn out. And another thing that little tip Louisa learned is getting those gel insoles so your feet don't hurt so bad. Any other tips you could think of, Louisa? As far as when you're wearing them, I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, so those things are good tips. They, I mostly wear them like if we're doing something for a cultural day, or like if I'm wearing my ribbon skirt somewhere. I've worn them to college one day just for no reason at all, like because I want to wear them.
Mia says, thanks for the tips.
Good. And then so if you are at the point, I do want to show you another tip real quick. If you are starting to sew up the top, one thing that, so you know how in the end where we did that whip stitch and we went around the top part one more time, when you begin the back one, you're going to start at the heel anyway. This is where you're going to start sewing from. You're going to go from up down here to up here. So I'm just going to show you real quick. Say this was my inside, and I wanted to go through, and I don't have to go in close on this one, so it's fine. What I did is, so just like how we did that one, we are going to go through the first stitch exactly like that. So we'll go back through again, and all that does is it just makes it, you know, like make sure that if this comes undone, it has to go all the way through for it to pull out and it like come unraveled. So we'll go back through, whip through, and then that holds it close together. And if anything were to happen as far as this coming up, you're not coming undone, that it's just not going to pull all the way through, that you have some leniency on your string. And also that it will make it harder for it to come unraveled if you've went through that stitch. So since I'm doing the whip stitch on the back, I want to start on the inside so y'all don't see my knot. So I'm doing the whip stitch and I'm starting on the inside like that, and I'm going to go back through that same hole and go through both of them. But like I said, if you're doing the running stitch, it's so easy and it doesn't look any different. Nobody's going to be looking at the back of your moccasin. Some people do. I do, because I'm looking at moccasins. Like what I always try to see how people are sewing things and all that. So Louisa is going to gladly, happily sew mine. Actually, I think I want to do the baseball stitch. Can you do the baseball stitch? Okay. I decided I want the baseball stitch instead. So like at mine, I'll show you real quick, or you can show me on here. That way you kind of know where we're starting. You there? Okay. Okay, see, I did that little whip stitch, but I want to do the baseball stitch. So if you're doing a baseball stitch and you're like this, you've wrapped it around once, you started on the inside, you whipped it around, now you're on the outside. And I'm just going to go from here and go, well, Louisa's going to go in here and go in and out like that, okay? So, and then she's just going to keep doing that. and I'll follow her along if she does that. But if you're doing the running stitch, you're gonna end like fast. It goes so fast. And I know I'm just gonna give you time because I know she still goes fast. And by the time she gets done, you'll probably be done with yours. And she can scrunch hers down as she goes along so that way she makes sure she has enough thread or sinew as it goes up the back of the moccasin. I don't know, her hands are like delicate and she just like, I like how she sews. And I'm glad that I'll get to wear them. But if anybody has any questions right now, you can ask us those questions and while you're sewing, or if you're at a point where you're like, I don't know that I can go on. But from here, you are almost done. You have done everything that you've needed to. We've done all the steps all the way up to number 21. We are all pretty much done, and just we'll do it again on the second side.
We've put our number in the chat also, so if you want to send us pictures along the way, or especially of your final moccasin when you get it done, send that to that number, and if you send it before we get off, we'll actually show it to everyone if you'd like us to.
And a lot of this stuff, like, so I don't know if you looked at the book, you've seen that you can get it at Tandy Leather in Tulsa. That's where a lot of the stuff you can get. I've seen where like on Amazon, they have the same stuff and it might be just a little bit cheaper, but really Tandy, they'll get it all together for you, call you. They'll probably even do curb service now, I'm not sure, but they've always been really good. They have the leather scissors there if you ever feel like you want to buy some. They have the hole puncher there. You can even just tell them, say, hey, I'm making moccasins, and mention those supplies. They know exactly what you're talking about. So the other thing is that these awls are only like $2 at Walmart. So if you ever lose yours or anything like that, they're also just good to have for things like this, leather work and binding. And then Louisa's just finishing up mine. And so, like always, she's going to do that last stitch where you're going to go through the last, go ahead. And the only reason I kind of like this stitch is it kind of like is close together and it kind of goes through each one. So if it were to come unraveled and I'm somewhere, I'll have plenty of sinew to fix it up and I can just do a running stitch all over. You know, that's what I was thinking if anything ever happened. But I like this stitch too. So you should be at that point where you're able to, if you can't go back through, that's fine. Can you go back around the lip stitch? If not, that's fine. We'll just tie it off on the inside. Or do a knot. That's not long. No, go ahead and cut it. Right here. So like if you are doing those stitches, then it might be, you might need more sinew. This is the first time I've done the baseball stitch, or had Louisa do the baseball stitch. I always do the running stitch, usually through all of mine, just because it's fast, especially for like classes. It's just giving you the idea of like how you can make your moccasin. But I'm sure that like if you look in some of the things that I showed in the book, one of the oldest ones ever found, it looks like a running stitch all the way through. So I'm sure that that's how they did it in the beginning. You know, as seamstress and people that had this knowledge, they got better at it as they went along. So at this point, you can try it on your moccasin. So I'm gonna let her finish that part. Oh, also, I'm sorry about that. If you have any of this and you want it cut off, like where your, like say your lines are showing, you could just go along there and cut those off. And try to keep it straight. I wish it was, excuse me, I could cut a little bit straighter. And really, they're not going to see that anyway, but it just makes it look nicer. So if it does ever show. But oh. So this is just a time where you can clean up your mock and make it look how you want. If you want the flaps to look a different way, or sometimes people overcompensate the flap and they're like, oh, that's just going to drag on the ground. So at this point, you want to see if that's where you want your moccasin. So I have decided to do the square instead of the angled one, and I'm going to try it on right now. Just go ahead and go out that way because I'm going to do it in the light. I think the light is there over here. So again, we're trying, oh, sorry. So again, I'm just trying on my moccasin, fitting it the way that I want it to look, and I can guide it. And then I can pull down my flaps. See, isn't it so cute? So there's my moccasin. There's the back. You can always change it if you want. You just unravel it. You'll have plenty of sinew. And we'll bring this up just a little bit. So it don't matter really left, right, however you want to do it. Sometimes, like, say I started on this side to do that pucker for my left foot, I might start on this side and go that way and then do my running stitch. I hope everyone's getting close to being done with theirs and getting to try theirs on. So we're going to go ahead and while we're waiting for questions or anything like that, we're going to go ahead and start on our second moccasin because we already know what we're going to do. Making the holes for me. And I'm going to make that line again so I know.
Can we see if there's any messages on that phone, if anybody sent us pictures?
Okay. She's going to look through and see if there's any pictures. I hope I made it easy to follow along. And like I said, there's that YouTube, and then my contact information is in there. If you have questions, I believe that Youth Services.
Yeah, sure.
Youth Services will be putting this on their YouTube channel so that later on, so that you can see if you need to go back and look at something like, oh, I didn't know. And then if you have a question, you can contact me at any time. So pretty much like we are done. Is we can just go ahead and go along and make our second moccasin and jam out if we want to.
Looks like we have somebody sharing their mocks with us that they're working on them. That's awesome. Who is that sent that? Okay. The hummingbirds.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
And if you need more sinew, just, a good idea is just to do an arm's length again, just because it's a good measurement, and you're not, if you get too long, you're like trying to pull it out like way behind your back. And it just takes a lot longer to do that. So I use that as a good measurement to do my moccasins. But usually the arm's length is good enough for the top part and the back. And I'm so glad that there's a lot of youth learning, because like I didn't learn until I was probably in my, 20s. And, I was like intrigued, like, hey, this is pretty easy. Like, how come more of us aren't learning how to do this? So you guys are starting young, and you'll be able to show other people and get better at it. And hopefully maybe one day you're teaching your class. Like you go to a tribal college or something like that. They want you to do a presentation. This is what you can do. You'll get an A.
Can you ask if anybody's finished the one?
Yeah, let's ask. If anybody's finished, let us know. Send us a picture of them.
Yeah, so you just, some people catch on to this so fast. Some people, most of the people catch on if they just pay attention to all the little things. I've had some people that are just like, kind of get distracted easily. So if you haven't gotten distracted easily, you're probably doing good. But some people just get the hang of it so well, and like to keep making them. One thing that I've always thought of is like maybe I could get like those microfiber rags and make like practice making moccasins, and then you can wear those around the house, and then they would like clean the house.
That's great.
You can like spray cleaner and clean them up. But I don't know. I was just thinking of that as like practice. Like if you want to practice making them, that's one way. They used to have like these art chamois too, that was kind of similar to leather. I don't see them very often. I think they're a little bit expensive, so you might as well buy the leather. R8 TV, N8 TV, or B.
All right. Again, we want to see your moccasins, so send us a pic to 918-758-9535.
Maybe I should have. Huh? Or does it look like my other one? Are we still good on time?
We're right at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
We just got another picture. I think I sent it over if you want to share it.
Good message.
Oh, it's trying to come through still. Hey, and they were actually smart. There's a picture we're trying to share. It's not coming through just yet totally to where it needs to be, but there's a couple of girls. One's in a tie-dye shirt, and they've actually, looks like they pulled out the kitchen cutting board to be their board to poke the holes through. That was very smart.
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Because like that's like similar to how this board feels. So that's a good tip.
Yeah, it sure is.
I love tips. I love to make things as easy as possible and safe as possible, actually.
Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap up our class today? You'll put those in the chat. And again, I'll just let you know, you should receive an email next week one day, and it'll have the link to our YouTube page, and this video will be posted there. If you want to go ahead and find our YouTube page, in the meantime, you'll look for Mvskoke Youth, and I'll put that in the chat, or Jasmine, if you'll put that in the chat, it's Mvskoke Youth. And there's several other videos on there of all different things that we've worked on. But in particular, if you'll look for the Connect the Disconnect playlist, we do have a video tutorial on how to make a ribbon skirt. There's some beading tutorials on there. And then, like I said, this one will be on there also next week. But I also encourage you, if you don't want to wait for our video to be posted and you need any reminders on how to do what you need to do, look up the YouTube video that's listed in Cassandra's book. And that way she can help you to finish making those moccasins this weekend. And then please definitely still send us your picture of your mocks. Even if you just get one completed, we'd like to see those so that we can share those on our social media a little bit later today.
It's not showing it.
Still not showing? Okay.
Well, I got it, but it's not showing in the Zoom
Oh,
like photos.
weird. Well, we will definitely share that photo a little later on social media. We can't get that one to come through. But before we go, I just want to make sure I don't see any questions in the chat for Cassandra. I think I learned how to make some mocks, even though I didn't get to practice today. I was just watching behind the camera. But we definitely appreciate both you, Cassandra, and Louisa for your time today and for all that you shared with us. It's such a great art to have, and like you said in your book, it's an act of sovereignty. Like, that's really powerful, just keeping the traditions and the culture alive through this one small act. Anything else you all would like to say before we close out?
I think that's it. I mean, just you're the designer. You can add beads to the cuffs if you want, if you know how to do that. You could add material however you want it to do, however you want it to look. And I just encourage you to, try something new, try one of those other videos and just keep going. And, you might find your knack of like what you like to teach or what you can carry on. So that's it. Anything for you, Louisa?
No.
All right. Well, you all have a great day and have a great holiday. Some of you should have some extra leather so you can make an extra pair of mocks for somebody and give them as a gift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then we also have, Cassandra's going to kind of show you real quick. Maybe if she finds it, it's a little medicine pouch. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
And we have directions, but it's very basic. And you've already learned all the steps, I think, to make that happen. So
yeah, you can just, even if you don't have those directions, you can trace your cell phone. So trace your cell phone once, then trace it again, and then you'll only use half, that second half. So basically it will be the second half on top of the back half, and you can use that whip stitch to go around it, and then it'll fold over. Another thing is using the leather as like a string for the thing, is you can even just use the leather you have, and if you cut it along the edge, it'll make a string. So
awesome.
Different ways to use your leather.
Good deal. So make some Christmas gifts for some folks. All right. Have a good holiday. Thank you all. Have a great day.
No.
Thank you, guys.